Welcome back, Tyrants. I hope everyone's been doing well, keeping safe out there. Today we have a special video, and as you can probably see from the title or the description, yes, we're going to be talking about that panel from that chapter. But before we get into it, I just want to say, if you haven't read chapter 967, please go read that before watching this video. What I'm going to be talking about in this video directly relates to that chapter, and I feel like the best way to kind of get everything that is that chapter, you have to pretty much read it first with no kind of outside perspective. Just read it and see how you feel on that chapter. And then if you don't mind, come back and watch the vid. But yes, we're going to be talking about the last panel of chapter 967. Now I want to cover a few things actually in this video, so it won't just be that panel, but it's going to be centered around that. So the reason I really want to talk about this is because One Piece has been going for over 20 years now. It's over 20 years old, and we're finally starting to see the end of the story, at the horizon. We're getting close. We've been told multiple times by editors, Oda's even stated at some points that we're pretty much in the end game. Whether it's 5 years or 8 years, 70%, 80% done, One Piece is nearing its end. And we can see that in the fact that the more story building chapters we get, the more information is packed densely into those. Think about the Reverie. Think about all the information we got from that with Im-sama, with the Straw Hat, with Shanks, with Kuma, just all these different storylines in a small amount of time. And you even look at chapters like 957 and you see all the information we got from that. So the story building is really reaching a point in which it's throwing so much stuff at us all at once. And this is stuff we're all going to get answers to. These are things that are going to become relevant very soon. And of all the story building chapters we've been getting hit with, I think 967 in particular is the one that really sets it in perspective about One Piece reaching its end. In this chapter, we pretty much follow Goldie Roger and the Roger Pirates in their journey to pretty much conquer the world, the journey that makes him Pirate King. And even just then, when you think about it, that's a big part of what the series is about, is becoming Pirate King, is that journey to be Pirate King. And in this one chapter alone, we pretty much get that journey. We follow Roger, and not only just, his journey, but his journey that parallels Luffy's. We see all the places that Luffy went in our current timeline, except in Roger's era. And we see everything he did that Luffy found in the future, the riding on Skypiea, the information they find in Zou, going to Fishman Island. We see all this stuff, but from Roger's perspective. As readers of the series, we already have a general idea of how Roger did it. Just by following Luffy, we can kind of put the pieces together onto how Roger got to be the Pirate King. This chapter just fleshes that out and, gives us more of that story. But the part I want to focus on is not the entirety of the chapter, but pretty much the end of it. There are two really big reveals at the end of this chapter that really set the tone for the rest of the series. The first thing I want to talk about is Oden and what he wrote in his journal about reaching One Piece. And whether he fully documented everything he saw, everything he learned in that journal is a debate for another time. What I really want to talk about is pretty much what he was saying in that chapter, and how he talks about when they reached One Piece, when they saw what the treasure was, they learned everything. They learned everything about the world. They know about the Void Century. They know about ancient weapons. They know about the Will of D. They know what happened to Wano. They literally learned every single kind of big secret of the world of One Piece, all in one place, all at one time. And that's such a huge moment, because what they've learned from finding One Piece is what we've been waiting to learn the entirety of the series. It's the information that we really want to know as readers. We want to know what the Will of D is. We want to know what happened during the Void Century. We want to know why Wano closed its borders. We want to know more about the ancient weapons. All this information is there. It's available, it's accessible, and they found it, and they know it, and they still have this knowledge. Rayleigh still has this knowledge. Crocus still has this knowledge. It also gives us a little bit more info on Joy Boy, and the fact that he was so closely related to all of this. You know, we've been getting bits and pieces about Joy Boy, but he's always been a mystery. But to know that he was here, and not only did he leave a treasure, he left, you know, this tale. He left this story of everything that's happened for anyone who reaches this island to read. And it just feels reassuring to know that when Luffy gets there, when the Straw Hat Pirates get there, we're gonna learn that knowledge. You know, everything that Roger came into, everything that the entire crew of the Roger Pirates figured out that day, someday we're gonna be there. Someday we're gonna be in those shoes. And that's such a good feeling to have. The second thing, and the biggest thing I want to talk about, is the reaction to finding One Piece. So how Roger and his crew reacted upon seeing and reading that tale left by Joy Boy. And that panel in particular, you know, that amazing panel that we all get to see. Basically what happens is the entire crew reads the story and they all start laughing. They all are overcome with this laughter that it goes on for so long, and it's such a huge fit of laughter that it brings them to tears. And then Oda hits us with, you know, one of the most amazing panels I've seen in One Piece, and that's Roger's reaction. You know, you have the crew's reaction, which actually I think comes after Roger, but we have Roger's reaction to finding One Piece. And it's just Roger laughing with the text box that says he laughed. And I love that panel for so many different reasons. There's so much that one panel, that one selection of Roger laughing does for the entirety of One Piece that I don't really think can be captured with just words. You know, it's a feeling you get when you read that page, when you see that panel, you feel a certain way about One Piece. It's such a surreal feeling. It makes me think about when I first started reading and watching One Piece. You know, the first thing that comes to mind is the old intro, where they used to play like, there once was a man named Gold Roger, who was king of the pirates.
There once was a man named Gold Roger, who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
My fortune is yours for the taking, but you'll have to find it first. I left everything I own in one piece.
That intro comes to mind because it's like we started this story learning about Gold Roger. We started the story learning about, you know, the One Piece, and that every pirate in the world was looking for this great treasure. So to see, you know, 20 something years later, 967 chapters later, we finally see that reaction. We finally see what happens when Roger gets to Laugh Tale and he sees One Piece. And it's an amazing feeling. You know, I could stare at that panel for just hours, just absorbing all the feelings that it kind of brings in. You know, it's nostalgia, it's such a surreal feeling. It's got, you know, excitement. There's even sadness in that panel. There's so much to unpack from just that panel alone. It's amazing because the story of One Piece isn't even really about Roger. Roger is a huge factor into what started the story of One Piece, but it isn't about Roger, it's about Luffy. It's about Luffy and his journey to become Pirate King. Yet, in this chapter, it feels like we've been on a journey with Roger for a long time. It feels like we've been following him almost like we follow Luffy, and it feels like we kind of came to the end of Roger's One Piece with this chapter. And that's something I really want people to think about, because Roger isn't prevalent in the entirety of the series. You know, obviously he comes and he goes when something important comes up. You know, when something like a poneglyph, something about One Piece, something of that nature comes up, we usually hear about Roger. But he's not, you know, dotted in every single portion of One Piece. He's actually pretty spaced out in between, yet we still have this feeling of we've been there with Roger the whole time. And that's amazing. Like, that's something you just have to sit down and think about and absorb, that even though we haven't been with this character the entire time, it still feels like we just went on this entire journey with him. And in my personal opinion, that panel in particular with Roger laughing is the essence of One Piece. You know, with or without context, I feel like that is what One Piece is about. Like, that panel alone just describes the entirety of One Piece. And obviously that's coming from a person who's been, you know, reading it for 20 plus years, but that's where some of the magic comes in. It's like, I really wasn't waiting for this. This isn't something I expected to see or like, really wanted out of the story, but getting it makes me feel like I wanted it the whole time. It makes me feel like I almost needed it as part of the story. And the craziest part about this is that it's not really new information. Like I said, we already know Roger was the Pirate King. We know he found the One Piece. We know he's done all this. It's just that we're seeing it. We are seeing it with our own eyes. And that almost revitalizes the entire story. That it's almost like a retelling of Roger's entire experience, even though there's not really new information, even though there's nothing being added, it's just being shown for the first time. And it's just amazing. It makes me think about how the Straw Hat crew is going to react when they get to One Piece. Because one thing I always carry with me is that, Rayleigh and even Roger to an extent kind of had the idea that they were too early. They acted too hasty and they kind of got there before they needed to be there. So I wonder how, the entire crew that we've been following, how they're going to see it. What reaction they'll get out of it. Will they laugh at it? Will they cry about it? Will they be angry? What's going to happen when they see the treasure? Part of me really likes the idea of seeing the entire crew breaking into a fit of, crying laughter, especially to see Robin and Nami and Zoro all have that kind of reaction that we don't normally see from them. But to get that from the One Piece would be really amazing in my eyes. And there's a lot to unpack from this chapter, not just, the ending and those panels. So like I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, gone through 967, please go back, please read it. Please just absorb that chapter and just, read it a couple times. Really see what it kind of jogs in your memories of One Piece. Really see how it makes you feel about One Piece. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for joining. Please give me a like, dislike, comment, a sub, whatever you're feeling. Have a great day.